All right. Let me mispronounce Latin for a little bit. Ready? Cadere. 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 Okay, that's what I got. It all comes down to decide. I love the word decide. I'm not a fan of the word decision. Decision is a virtual noun. People agonize over decisions. They agonize about a lot of virtual nouns. Special partner. Don't go there. See, I'd rather be loving and loved. See, verbs are fun. From what I can tell, I agree with Bucky Fuller. What you are seems to be a verb. You are what gives life, right? Meanwhile, Neville said, action of self predominant. I notice people get stuck in orbit around things. But let's dive into deciding something today. Ready? Now this is really cool. The verb decide has some fascinating origins, right? Decide. Cadere. Cadere. See, that's Latin, right? So, from what I can tell, the limited amount of research I've done, which is like, I get obsessed with things, you know what I mean? Like I'm learning card tricks, so I always have some cards nearby. I'm just touching them all the time. Yeah, it's like when I was a police officer, I carried, like I kept my gear handy. You know, my training lieutenant told me, you want to go home at night? Right? Get used to your gear. Wear it constantly. Keep it handy. Get to the point where it's a part of you. Right? Ready? Cadere. That comes from, that's where the Middle English version, decidin. See, the old French, décider. By the way, I am probably mispronouncing this all over the place. But you get them having fun because I've decided to make a podcast about the nature of decision. Ready? To decide. By the way, have you noticed the word decide? It ends with side, as in suicide, homicide. Fascinating, isn't it? When you do some research into this, and when you discover what the nature of a decision is by studying human behavior. You see, in the beginning, God decided, let there be light. Poof, right? God decided. God didn't decide anything else in that moment. There was a 100% surrender to the experience of light. Let's tie this in with a little bit of Neville directly, shall we? The mustard seed lesson. You see, one of the things that I notice when I'm working with clients, whether it's in Dream Driven Day, one-on-one, Manifesting Mastery course members, whatever, is they add in things that they don't know they're adding in. That's called making a mistake, and that's fine. We've all done it. This is also why I love mentoring versus like the accumulation and collection of data. So many people mistake the two. Back in the old days, you trained with a mentor. Nowadays, you just collect data, right? Not a fan of data. I'm a fan of experiences. So, mentors help you have the right experiences. They help you stop doing the wrong things, adding in things. But I seem to digress, but I'm not. Ready? What's the lesson of the mustard seed? What's Victoria's mustard lesson? You see, Neville Goddard brought something out. It's not a small amount of faith that matters. It's complete. A mustard seed only knows mustard seed. It's not the size of the faith that matters. If you only had the faith of a mustard seed doesn't know apple. A mustard seed doesn't know dandelion. A mustard seed doesn't know tobacco. By the way, a tobacco seed's smaller than a mustard seed. I love the tobacco seed. Right? My Native American mentors taught me that tobacco is thank you. You smoke tobacco. You smoke thank you. You breathe thank you in. Right? It's funny because people talk about the peace pipe, right? That's what some people call it. It's not really that, by the way. But this whole tobacco thing, thank you. Breathe in, thank you. Breathe out, thank you. Be thankful that your wish is fulfilled. Be thankful that you know who you are and how this works. And you do all that, and you manifest much more effectively when you really understand why I'm talking about this today. To decide is to cut off. It's to kill all other options. It's for a mustard seed to only know mustard. And this isn't hard. We've shared on the show numerous times Victoria's adventures in buying mustard. We're going shopping today. It's Monday in Australia. And one day we're shopping and she decides to get mustard. And I'll tell you how she did it. She saw this exclusive mustard. It was on sale, like a 3-for-1 sale or half price, or I don't remember. But I watched her watch the mustard. She looks, and I watched her surrender to the experience of yummy mustard. Right? It doesn't take much, but as she surrendered to it, just like Neville Goddard said, all that you do, all that befalls you simply happens. She didn't have to force herself or will herself to walk across. She didn't have to agonize for hours, is this the mustard or not? She surrendered to mustard so completely that she got all 3 varieties. And this is where I want you to play. To decide is to cut off. To decide is to kill all other options. And when you do that, something magical happens. Whenever you do that, you give life to what you've chosen. But here's the thing. To choose, to decide, is really to kill off all other options. You can no longer be poor if you're experiencing wealth, richness, happiness. And here's the big thing, guys. To decide is to cut off all other options. Remember, homicide, suicide. See, those words, fratricide, regicide. See, when I look these up, fratricide, notice how many times they show up in Scripture. Notice that it's all about the mustard seed. Notice it's all about the pearl. Because if you have the faith of a mustard seed, in other words, if you only know the state of your wish fulfilled, and if you've bought the pearl, if you know the only cause is you, your entire life changes. Big time. Meanwhile, back in June, we did 3 really cool calls. The Pearl of Great Price. We dove into it for 5 solid hours over 3 calls. We had so much fun. And it all started with politics. Because in Australia, only Australians can vote. You got to be a citizen. And Australians must vote or you get a fine. And I wasn't in the mood because back then I wasn't allowed to go out and eat because if I touched a fork, somebody might catch the loogie. And I'm not a fan of stuff like that. And so what did I do? I decided I'm not going. Fine me. Then I decided, you know what? I'll vote for home, or from home, if you let me. And I applied for that. But here's the fun thing. Instead of standing in line and voting for a politician, by the way, I'll tell you who I voted for. Ready? It doesn't matter, does it? Right? I just ticked some boxes and sent it back. I'm not a fan of politics or politicians. I'm a fan of the pearl. Neville Goddard says you must give up belief in the power of anything to have control over you. You get? There's a decision. You have to cut off everything. That doesn't mean you stop putting petrol in your car. That doesn't mean you stop eating food. What it means is you stop blaming food for the fact that you're well or sick. It means that you stop blaming petrol for the road trip that you're on. You see, you drive the car. You can put petrol in it if you want to. I find doing that makes it a lot more fun. Instead of pushing the car, I put some petrol in, just for fun. Meanwhile, if you got gold, if you get what I'm talking about here, pearlpowerpack.com. Like I said, 5 hours of goodness. There's some bonuses in there too, really cool stuff, all brand new stuff, right? My friend Mylene asked about that, and I thought, well, maybe I need to tell people that. It's all brand new goodies. PearlPowerPack.com. Special 3 for 1 right now, right? You get them all 3 for the price of 1 plus the bonuses. PearlPowerPack.com. So, ready? What are you going to decide? You see, to me, to decide, remember, cadere. That's Latin. And that's Latin for to cut. Right? To cut off. What are you going to cut off today? I'm a firm believer in cutting off excuses. Because excuses, at the end of the day, you could have a pile of excuses or a mountain of excellence. I'm a massive fan of having a mountain of excellence. Have a lovely day. My name is Mr. 2020. I am coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia. Time to decide. See ya.